October 19th, 2023 at 5:30 of the City Parks Commission. Katie, would you mind calling the roll?
Sure. Liz Lasky.
Present.
Laney Rosca.
Present.
Karen Mao.
Present.
Kelly Grebe. Karen Peltola. Tim O'Connor.
Here, present.
John Beach. Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Agenda approved. Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes, Katie?
Yep.
Yes.
Any changes, any corrections, any? Motion to approve?
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Okay. Yes.
Minutes stand approved as drafted. Any citizens or public comment? Linda? Sarah?
No, just hello.
Thank you. Thank you both for attending. Thank you. Anytime you want to say something, please join us. Okay, there was a little bit of correspondence. I'll just read what they were. Let me just see if I got them all here. The first one was from Kelly McCall at the city, and she just was all excited that Sylvie Atkinson was finally able to come in today to pick up her prize. She was all excited and can't wait for the next year, and that was regarding art drop. So that went over well. It was that was nice, and she did come pick it up. And then there was a couple here. One is let's see, I want to make sure I start at the right thing. This was from Jen Teller to Bill Gamble, who forwarded it to me. Hope each of you is doing well. Mr. Daniel Crow of the GWRR Management for the Railroad has agreed that a $200 gift card should go towards the food cost during the Morton Park build scheduled for October 30th and 31st starting at 9 a.m. Some of their employees will also be there to lend building assistance. Where and to whom should he send the card? And Bill Gamble replied, that's very generous of Mr. Crow. Thank you. I'd give this to whoever is buying the food. And Liz, is there a Parks Commissioner interested in purchasing the food for the event? Thank you. And then Jeff McCullough responded, Liz, we can discuss it at tonight's meeting, which we will. And let's see. Then there's another one from Jen Teller. Where does it start?
What else, Jeff?
Thank you for the, let's see. And this one she'd sent to Aaron, but I'm getting copies on this, so I believe they should be read aloud. Hope you and your family are doing well. Just want to let you know that tonight on the overview of the parks that Liz Lasky presented what is happening with Morton's Park specifically. Hopefully she will know when the basketball court is going in as it was slated for this fall. I have suggested several times that a 12 by 12 beach sandbox with corner seats would be a great addition for the transitioning neighborhood with young children. Sifters, little shovels, buckets, and small plastic trucks, etc. would give the kids a fun experience for minimal expense and keep them engaged while older kids play at other structures. Maybe you even know someone who would volunteer to do it. We have 2 in Romeo and the kids are always using it. As far as feral cats are concerned, try it and see. It would be nice. It would be a good reason to eliminate them from the neighborhood. There has been talk of collaboration with the city and Mr. Logan, the Morton Salt Facilities Manager, about Morton's donating the building of the parking lot we were hoping for. Mr. Logan needs engineering plans before he can move forward. Mr. Bowles of Spicer estimated the cost to be between $7,000 to $8,000, not $10,000, as previously stated at the previous Parks Commission meeting. And then, let's see, it's another one. Thank you for the clarification. While Spicer's quote is double what Mr. Bowles from Spicer told me that the engineering cost would be. I did contact Nordland and Ludington for their engineering costs of the project yesterday, waiting to hear from them. I think 2 bids would be prudent in this case. Liz Lasky, Park Chair, would like to use the 200 to build a 12 by 12 sandbox for the park. How do you feel about that? Kids love a sandbox, and it'd be imaginative for them. She may have someone to do it. I understand your position on fundraising, so sorry to have created any problems. I do have other people who would like to donate, but will only proceed with your approval. Thank you so much for trying to get this project to completion, as it is so needed for this area and their reputation to Manistee being for the betterment of all areas of the city. Please keep me informed. Let's see, did I miss anything? They came, and I think at one point Bill said, do not solicit on behalf of the city. I'm not seeing where he said that, but I do remember reading that. And then there was another one, and it was sent to me, and it was from Jermaine, the mayor. She sent $200 and a nice note saying to use it for food for parks events, because there was always a question, and we do like to have free family fun with food. So that was a generous donation. So, and I still hope that the city will give us some money for a little food and entertainment budget, but that was generous of her. I believe that was all the correspondence that I received. Committee reports. First one, Morton Park. Jeff, you might as well jump in with the community build here schedule.
So we're scheduled to install the playground equipment and the other equipment that we purchased for both Morton Park and Duffy Park on October 30th and October 31st. The first day will be augering holes into the ground for the foundations and assembling of the equipment. So anybody who wants to show up is welcome. You don't need to bring any tools. They'll have all the tools that are necessary. And my thoughts were to around lunchtime, provide water for people, maybe coffee in the morning, and then if there's people around during that lunchtime, we could maybe spend that money towards pizza or something like that. And then the second day, and then late in the afternoon on Monday, we're going to pour concrete on all that equipment and foundations. And most of the equipment will be installed by that point. So the second day will be kind of finishing up and then also installing the borders around the equipment and then installing all the engineered wood fiber.
Okay. What about those shade structures? Are those going to go up yet this fall, or?
The foundations will. The upright columns
Yes.
will go in.
Okay.
But that concrete needs to set for, I think he said 2 weeks before we install the actual fabric.
Okay. And then the picnic tables and is that part of the equipment?
Yep, that'll be installed that day. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how many people are we thinking, and where are we going to get people, and how many do we, I was thinking Tom Sinclair was thinking 15. How many do we know that number of how?
There's no real minimum, no maximum that is needed. I'm going to have staff there, so we'll supplement whatever
How many staff
help.
would you have?
I think we're planning on 4 or 5 people there. So he said the first day, if you had 6 to 10 people, that'd be helpful. If we have more people, then we'll start. They'll start some of the day 2 stuff, and then he said as many people as that are willing to show up on day 2, it just gets it done faster is all.
Okay, now, I don't know about contacting that railroad. Do you have, or should I ask Jen, a railroad, if he's going to send 2 people there, we should update them a little bit, or a few people, he said. That one letter said he's going to have willing to send a couple employees.
Yeah, I have no contacts there.
Okay, so I'll try to see if I can get something.
So you mentioned doing Duffy Park simultaneously. So are there going to be 2 crews, or I need to wrap my head around that.
The meeting point will be Morton Park for both.
Okay.
And then when Sinclair feels that we're at the point where we can transition, then we'll move people over to Duffy Park and do kind of the same thing. And then that'll complete, my guys will stay and do the concrete pour. I think we're scheduled to pour concrete like 2:30, something like that. And then the next day we'll start at Morton Park. We'll get through that and then we'll move over.
Okay.
Okay. I hope we could get someone from the neighborhoods. I'll see if I can get someone down at Morton's, Morton Park to come. If we can engage some of the neighborhood, that would be nice. And I don't know about Duffy. I'll see, I don't know too many, but go door to door. I know a couple families over there. Maybe would send someone. It'd be nice to get some people in the neighborhood and even some kids if we could, just to do a little bit even after school, if they just spread that engineered stuff around.
The wood fiber, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe we can walk around with flyers,
yeah.
stick them indoors.
How many,
Kind of get.
Tim, are you planning on? Okay.
Well, we could put something on the city Facebook page.
That.
You know, if you
Let's
want to
do
write
that.
something
Good
up, we
idea.
can work with Kelly to put a post out there, and
Now, is this rain or shine? Yes,
it is for us.
okay.
Sinclair has, since early July, they've been doing this
Right.
nonstop. Every
Yes.
community
They
that
sold a lot.
that purchased stuff and is doing builds, they're just marching community to community. So, Richard Sinclair, who worked with us on the Fifth Avenue, shade structures, and then the new Rocket Park, he organized that. He does it every day. He's fantastic to work with.
Okay, perfect. Anything else we should know on that?
What time are we starting?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
So I've said this before, it's really a fun, rewarding event to participate in. I'm kind of setting it up internally so that if nobody shows up or if it's raining, we're going to get this done.
Good.
But any lending hands will make it even better.
I think just some ownership of it would be nice to have people come to create it. Okay, and
And then if I can just respond to some of the information Ms. Teller put out about the parking lot. We did have a meeting with the plant manager at Morton. They're willing to do a lot of the construction, but there are several steps that we need to do. The parking lot that we've proposed would be on Morton land. That is not part of the leased land that the city has under lease for the park. So we need to do a survey and we need to amend that lease. So there's going to be a process for that. Morton did request that a design be provided so they don't have to do it themselves. So we've received an updated quote from Spicer on that. I believe it was $15,000, and I'm working to kind of value that down and get that reduced. Trying to do as much myself as I can, so we don't have to pay for that. And then Reith Riley has expressed interest in assisting with the construction of it as well. So we're not sure exactly what that is. We gotta get some quantities to them, and then they can decide how much they want to contribute as well.
thank you, that's perfect, because the parking lot will make a big difference there, especially if you get that full court basketball and you get men driving to use it. It would be, I believe, the second full court in the city, so I think that would be the third. There's Duffy, First Street, and that one. But I think that parking lot would be huge. Because
Yeah, the plant manager at Morton also strongly suggested that instead of putting the 10-foot basketball court or rims there, that we make them 9-foot. I don't know if the commission has any thoughts on that.
I don't know enough about basketball. Is that
No, either.
lower, Jeff?
What's that?
Did he express a reason why?
Yeah, people can dunk on them, so it's more fun. When I was a teenager, and we went, well, my local neighborhood park was Mack Park. That's got a 9-foot rim on it, and everybody liked to play there because it was shorter and you could dunk on it. The problem,
Standard in the high school, is it?
standard is 10 foot. But the problem with the 9-footers are when you dunk, people hang, that's what causes all the destruction at First Street and Fifth Avenue, so.
I think I'd suggest, let's start out with anybody correct me, I would say start out with 2 10-foot, that's the standard, because we
I
don't have
agree.
enough hoops all over. If that's what the high school has, and that's what's
Standard.
standard, let's start out with the 10-foot, and if we ever wanted to add a third hoop just for whatever, a middle hoop or something,
Yeah, because that's,
then add a 9-foot,
if,
or add,
if you remember, there's a court now, it's kind of a half court, right? So there's older rims and backboards there, and then we're gonna expand on it and add basketball hoops at the long end, so it does become full court. But just like the courts at First Street Beach, where you've got 2 short ones, 1 long one, you could potentially have that in the future there too, so.
yeah. So let's, what does everybody say to that?
I think that's the way to go, because it's adults who are using it now.
Yes. I believe it is gonna be mostly adults, and the kids should get used to it.
Yeah,
Shooting at
if that's
what
what-
if that's what the
yeah.
standard is, you know, go for the 10-foot. And then did that skidder come in, Jeff, or is there any chance it would come in? or-
I believe it's now, the last update we had was early December. So when it comes, weather depending, we'll build it either this year or first thing next spring.
Okay. Well, looks like we're gonna get the first part of that done, so that's huge. Okay, the amphitheater, John's not here, and either is Karen, so I don't know if,
I can give you an update on that. We received the preliminary report from Hunden, our consultant on it. They haven't published that out to everybody for review, but they did go over some of the preliminary stuff a couple weeks ago with us. I think we selected the right consultant. They are very, very thorough and are backing up every recommendation with a lot of really good data. So when that full report is completed, I think it'll be very interesting for you guys to see and to go through. They're basically going to make recommendations on 2 paths. One path would be more of a commercially based entertainment venue where you're hosting bands and bringing in named bands, and it's kind of a business. And then I think the other is going to, and then what the potential of that and the size of that could be or would have to be, along with all the expenses for it. And then the second path would be if it was more of just a community type of amenity, that doesn't have to be supported by huge revenue streams and huge concert acts. So they've got it teed up pretty well, I think.
okay, good. Thank you, keep us informed on that. Jen is in here on the parks improvement plans and the inventory. Kickball, we didn't get our team together. But I went by the beach just the night before last. That's an active group. That kickball is a plus for Manistee. And I think it'll really take off next year. The people just watched it for a few minutes. It looked fun. I mean, it was like, I think that's going great. And so it was a good cooperative with the rec department. It was Karen Peltola's idea, and it's a great idea.
So they had 5 teams? you
Yeah,
said?
and they're playing, and each team had a lot of people in it. It was just that was a plus for down there. It was a plus for Manistee, so I think it's going to continue next year and next summer. So that was good. Okay, moving on to the grants. The Minger grant, I think we kind of covered that. Jeff, did you have any on the expenses and stuff will you share the final spreadsheet on the money and how it all came down?
What we submitted to the Community Foundation and what we've reviewed with you in the past is kind of all of our, what I call sources and uses. So what does everything cost that we want to do? Where's the money going to come from to pay for all that? So certainly we've got a very large grant from the Minger Fund that is purchasing equipment and materials. The city council had budgeted for a large portion of the work, so we use that as match. A lot of the DPW labor and equipment we're using as part of the match. We have trended very well on our playground equipment purchases. The numbers that we had put in to the grant application, if you recall, when I first got the quotes from Sinclair, everything had jumped up substantially, and I was very fearful that we were going to have to reduce some of the equipment. When we went back through it and they repriced it, a lot of the prices came back down and really were just slightly underneath, like within $100 per item underneath what we had budgeted. So all the equipment and the cash expenses are trending pretty well. The one hiccup that I did have was the senior softball group. Part of this project is renovating the infield at the north softball field. The senior softball group had contacted a contractor who provided them a price, and then they provided that price to the city. We put that in as part of the grant application, and then the contractor wouldn't return emails or phone calls. So after months, we weren't sure what to do. So I contacted Spicer, the Saints, Manistee Area Public Schools, and got, who are you guys using when you're renovating your fields, football fields and soccer fields and baseball, whatever. So I was able to get a hold of 3 different firms that specialize that in Michigan. We sent them all out a package. Only one responded with interest and actually came here, reviewed the field, and provided me a quote and said, if the city helps out with X, Y, and Z, he could get the price down to $85,000. Our budget is 23. So in response to that, I went back to the contractor and said, if I can't afford to do the field, what can I do to make it better for the community and the seniors? And what our discussion was that the type of stone dust that's on the field, it's in varying thicknesses, and it gets very compressed and hard, especially when it dries out. So he recommended a special type of drag to use with that type of stone. So I've ordered that, and I got notification that it's being delivered here in, next couple days. However, 2 weeks ago, the guy responded, the first contractor, and said, I got everything organized now, I'm back on track. So we're waiting for him to come up here and meet with us. I'm sure that it's going to be a little bit more expensive than his original quote, but it brings us back within the ballpark. And so we got to iron out the scope and cost and that sort of thing. So there's hope on that.
Yeah.
So I think overall we're tracking pretty well. The Minger Foundation requires us to submit, is it quarterly reports, Sarah? I think it is quarterly. So each of these grants, I submit quarterly reports to them, and then when we close out a grant, I have to do a summary of all the expenditures and how
We'd like
everything
to see that
tracked.
too, just so we have an idea of what was spent and what was accomplished with their money, so thanks, yeah.
Mhm.
Perfect. And one thing, back on those fields, I noticed it, and I said that in that report to the city, but I'm gonna say it again, because even last night, that field by the old high school, there was 2 football teams practicing on that, the one that's gonna be turned into the bus turnaround. And at the baseball diamond, it's fine now, but they're actually playing football on it. I would like to see that we had, when you go by other towns, like say Midland on 10 there, that soccer field is used for soccer. Same thing with Traverse City. And I'd like to see the baseball diamonds. We've always had, I remember when our son was in high school, they would do the shot put at Sands Park on the baseball thing, and the one coach said, you're not doing that, to his son happened to be a shot putter. That, let's make sure we have enough fields for the kids to play on. And if we put the money into the diamonds and stuff, it should be used for running the bases, whether it's kickball or softball or little baseball or whatever. But keep it for what it was intended. How did those pitching machines work, Jeff, were installed at the?
All we did was install the outlets.
The outlets, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know.
So
I
they
haven't
provide
heard
the
back.
machines then, we just did the electrical for that, or how does that?
Yeah, we just provided power to the
Okay.
pitcher's mound.
We're at three of them,
At
correct?
2 of them, at Duffy
Duffy
and
and-
at Sands.
Sands,
And that
okay.
was part of the Minger grant
Right,
also.
okay, I was thinking there was 3, but there was 2. Okay, perfect.
Can I ask a question about those fields? Does the school have a plan for, since they're going to be removing those practice fields, do they have a plan to replace them somewhere else?
I don't know.
That would be good to know.
Yeah, I don't know. And,
If we're going to look for a place to
yeah, I don't know.
potentially move it.
I mean, just driving around, you see that. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe they do have it. Maybe they have it all planned out, that, but I thought, gosh, there was 2 teams. It was neat to see two different teams practicing for flag football. It's a good sign. Manistee's doing well right now, and it's a good feeder program. But make sure that we provide the fields. That's part of our job. The Riverwalk update, and that was on the grant that we received. We haven't heard anything more on that. We went to the preliminary ones when they all did the walkthrough and the bidding and all that, and then it was kind of like, now it's in Spicer's hands, correct? But
It's now in Spicer's hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're working through designs on it.
okay. So, and we didn't have to start it in September as we initially thought. We could be postponed.
We submitted a revised schedule to the EDA, which they approved.
Okay.
Yeah. So we anticipate construction to begin in the spring.
Okay. And then anything more on that North Shore one? On that?
Yeah, we received our preliminary scoring back from the DNR Trust Fund. It was, I think, 315 points, which I think our previous high score was 295. So those 20 points will matter a lot. We were able to, they always provide comments with the preliminary score, and then we address those comments, and we've shipped that back on time. So I don't think it'll change our score, but the rest of the scores that we can't get are because we're not in Detroit. We don't have the population base. That gives you, it's heavily weighted towards population.
Yeah.
So, but I think we're in really good shape. It'll come down to how much money they have to spend and how many applications they received. So, our plan is to attend their December meeting in Lansing when Treasury tells them how much they can spend and how far down the priority list gets funded, so.
I walked that Riverwalk last week. It's a bit scary. I mean, it's not an asset at this point to Manistee. It's not safe, and not safe because it's hidden, that too, but the wood, and you walk out on those jut outs, or whatever they call them, you could fall through, and the railings are missing. It's a liability issue.
Yeah.
Now, that little, you forget how nice that other area is, and I think it was cleaned up. The volunteers cleaned that group by Veterans Park. That's beautiful. And that little music area, that's nice still.
The band shell.
The band shell, yeah, and that should be used. People remember it used to be used a lot more for weddings and stuff. That's a nice area, but.
I think that would be a great spot for movies in the park because they have all the tiered
Great
seating
idea.
on the hill, right?
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
But
Yeah, it
it's
is.
in good condition to use, the band
It is,
shell.
the band shell, and to sit on the hill, that's a perfect spot, and there's parking.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's dark there, so,
Yeah, well, for next year maybe.
okay, moving on with that.
Thank you.
That's a great thought.
Okay. Is there electricity there?
Yes.
There
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's covered, your equipment would be covered even if it was a little bit of a, whatever, a little misty, or, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a neat place for that.
Yeah, that's a perfect spot for that. Okay. Okay, moving on. Might as well address that. Events for next year in the parks. Tim, are you still interested in doing movies in the park?
Yeah, I was just kind of disappointed that the Vogue didn't want to join us with that. No, this just a whole separate entity. There's actually a lot to it as far as licensing. more so than what I thought it was, and the expense to make it happen. So we'd have to get a partnership with somebody, you know, if we're not gonna charge the people that come to those events. So
Could you just play like a DVD or something?
you can't play a movie,
You cannot.
no,
Public,
to the
no.
public. There's like so many restrictions
Okay.
to that, so.
Other towns are doing it, but we are trying to do it right.
Yeah.
Yes. In
Yeah.
fact, I just read last week who's doing it, but they're cheating. You know, you're supposed to.
I just would want to think that, I mean, it's honestly to buy a membership to be able to do that, and the movie selection's not totally that bad. But honestly, my initial concept was like, well, I have a big blow-up screen, but it had to be a bigger screen. You know, you just can't, if we're gonna do it, we gotta do it right.
I wonder if the Ramsdale, what kind of licensing they have, because they have those operas they televise and everything. If one of us should approach them and see if they have any interest.
I think it's a very doable thing, just understanding what the process requires to do it correctly and to do it well. It's just, was gonna require a lot of time and energy. I just didn't have that available, so.
Let's work on, I'll work with you on that. Okay, let's get it.
But it is something we'd have to start working on now because
Yeah, let's get
before
it
you know it, it's gonna be spring.
And I thought, let's get it reserved. And I know that they're based on, like I talked to the people and it's a projected number. And I said, gosh, we could get 30. And I think they'd let us pay a little bit after, you know, I mean, we'll be honest. We're honest because we're doing it. That you book a lower number and if it's more, I told them, hey, we just send you the money after the event. You know, we can take pictures of people there. But we don't say there's gonna be 300 and then end up with 50. But I think we'd get a few, so.
Oh, for sure.
And I think the city council was really supportive of the other events we've been doing. We might want to approach them and see if there might be funding for it.
Yeah, I think it's just
I
gonna
think we
take
have to get some
it's
funding.
gonna take putting the proposal together
Right.
and doing a fact finding and find out what the total costs are gonna be and projected, so it's doable.
And
Just-
maybe a bank or someone would underwrite it. You know, West Shore is very generous to the Ludington music things. I don't think it's be a huge amount of money, and I'm just throwing out, I'm not saying, but maybe someone would, I think the Ramsdale is underwritten, the opera.
Okay.
But that, I believe, is a good idea to ask them.
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing? Are you getting it underwritten? How are they doing it? So we can
Okay,
ask.
we'll revise it or
Yeah, let's, we
refresh
gotta
it.
do it now
Okay,
and just see, so.
right.
Okay. The kickball, I think we will, I'm sure Karen will continue that with, and Eric Hummel was very supportive of that, and instrumental in that too, the rec director, so I think that's a good one. Art drop, you guys on board on that?
Yeah, we've already talked about doing it again next year. so.
Okay, let me just put names to that, you and Karen.
Karen and Jeff?
Sure.
Yeah, and get some art, I thought that was a great project, that's.
That's
any-
fun.
And the story hours,
I sent out a note to Angie at the library because we had talked on the last day of, I guess it was the kickball, was our last event, story time last year, and she was so thrilled with the idea of doing it again next summer with us.
Yeah,
So,
she was into it.
yeah, I think she'd be on board with that.
perfect. That was such a fun thing, and I think we could expand on that, and then get it more, did get it somewhat in their calendar, but I think that, those were so fun, and the one was at Veterans Park. I mean, we introduced the people to, like, a lot of people said, I didn't even know Mack Park existed, and that's a beautiful park. So, okay. Okay, let's see. Stargazing,
The last I talked to Brooke, she was very interested in continuing. She said she could even do one a month, which I think was beyond my bandwidth to organize. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna talk to her about a different potential thing in the park as well. So I'll ask her for next summer if you guys want to do it.
I thought it was great.
I thought it was great, and there was
First
another
one.
guy that came,
He would be.
where was he from? He was from Pierport, but what's that called?
SpaceX.
SpaceX. He had, had worked for SpaceX, and he just lives up in Pierport, and he came and attended. But I believe he would speak too. You know, I think if we kind of had a little bit more educational, you know, would be good. So, I mean, you could do a lot with that. You could teach them the night sky and recognize constellations. That would be fun. Someone, and that doesn't have to be a NASA person. That's just someone who knows astronomy a bit. or whatever, so. Okay, do we want to do that again too?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I can
Yes.
kind of piggyback off that, I was just talking to Linda, who's over there. Brooke, the same one who did our stargazing events, Brooke Edwards, she wondered if she could do something like a STEM camp, STEAM camp, something for kids at one of the parks to get them interested in outer space, science kind of thing.
Oh.
And she's interested in doing that. And Linda, I was talking to Linda and maybe the teen center.
Excellent.
So I'm going to try to put Brooke in touch with Linda to try to see if there's something she wants to do at Sands Park.
Oh, they used to do that. That's how it used to be in the summertime. That was perfect. And Sands Park was one of the parks, so that would be excellent.
Right. So I'll follow up on that like tomorrow. So.
Another idea, and I don't know if anybody, and I wrote it down, was that plein air drawing. And they did that in Birmingham around a lake, and they just
They
had.
do that in Northport a lot.
Yeah.
The Northport Arts Association. I have a contact. My cousin's really involved with it. So I'll probably be seeing her this weekend. Maybe I can see.
Thank you.
She might find people to donate art as well.
Thank you.
So
Good, yeah.
What can you explain what that is? Is that just take your artist palette and go?
I think it's French, that you just.
yeah, you
it's-
just go outside with your easel. You can paint or draw, whatever.
It's,
Some you might have like an area.
it's like live painting where you
Yeah.
paint something that's in existence,
Yeah.
like.
Is there an instructor like teaching you what to do, or is
No.
it just?
No, it's just kind of you go out there and kids do it. I saw like sometimes the whole family goes out there and I mean, we've got the river walk. There's so many scenic places. But it's kind of like then people walking by see it and like they do it. European countries do it. That's where it started. And it's just kind of a neat thing. I saw it once in Baltimore and they're just drawing along the river, but it's just, we have neat things that you
Mhm.
draw.
You bring your own supplies?
You bring your own stuff. You bring your own things, and you can, and.
Sometimes
some
at the
places
end,
they sell 'em.
you come all back together.
Yes.
Like, maybe you'd show up, everybody would come back after 4 o'clock to the Ramsdale, and then maybe there'd be a display.
Yeah.
And,
Or the
recycle.
marina part, right up above in the marina
Yeah,
with the little tables.
yeah,
and
that's
have-
something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. Just one more thing. I mean, just something to get people in the parks, plus to give something visually when you're walking along. And it would be nice for Manistee, like, oh, we're gonna be art, known for your art and stuff. Let's see. And then one other thing that I thought was like a family game night in the park, and that could just be, and I mean, we'd probably have to have more people to man these, because I mean, we can only go so thin. But whether it's board games or, those, what am I thinking, like any type of a ring toss, yeah.
Cornhole.
Cornhole, that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to think of. Yeah, just shuffleboard up there. I mean, if you had it in some central place and just a family, like say there again, the top of the marina, you got the shuffleboard, you could set up some cornhole there, you've got, if someone wanted to play, and we had talked about it at one point, even drawing like chess boards, checkerboard, so that, you could provide at the marina where the deckhands are, chess or checkers that they could just play sitting there. And it would also look neat just on the tabletops. So, just an idea. I mean, we got to pick and choose here. The Lions Pavilion, I don't know what the final number was, how much they made this year. Do you know that, Katie?
It's still being rented, I believe.
Yeah. And any ideas for what it needs or maintenance or anything? I think those little cubicles need to be painted underneath next year. I mean, as part of that money, the DPW doesn't have to do it, part of that money could be spent maybe to paint underneath that.
Those pavilion things?
Yeah, those, what do you call those little tiny
Cabanas.
cabanas? The white needs to be repainted on those.
Just a reminder that we are proceeding with the beach master plans. So the city manager's office is coordinating that to put together the meeting dates and the invitees and stuff. I know that certainly the Parks Commission will be represented there. But kind of looking at all three of our beaches, Man-Made, Fifth Avenue, and First Street, and what do we have? What do we need? What do we, So I think a lot of that planning will be important.
When is that taking place? And
Council just approved the grant last month, and this, I think it's through MEDC, but we received a 2-part grant. They couldn't fund the full request in their fiscal year, so they funded what they could, and then they're funding the balance in the next fiscal year, which I think is now. So I think in the next council agenda, council approves like the second half, and then they'll kick that off. So it'll begin this winter.
Still would think we gotta maintain underneath, those little cabanas, we talked about painting those a couple years ago and it hasn't gotten any less.
Those probably could be sprayed too.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a big project or too expensive. And then those planters have sure held up and they still look good. I thought we should put pumpkins in them, but the flowers still look good. Karen did a good job on that, and I think that self-watering has helped. So. Let's see here. DNR grants and other grants, is there any discussion of that? There was a little thing in the paper that how did that read? We didn't apply. Yes, that the Spark grants were not applied for.
Said he didn't do anything.
And improvements for the parks for 2024.
Well, they have their budget. And I know Jeff asked us about what we wanted. And of course, I can't remember exactly, but what are some of the things you have and budgeted for next year?
Well, our fiscal year starts July 1st, right, and runs through June 30.
Yeah.
So we're almost in the middle of a fiscal year, but we've actually already started some of the budget processes for next year. So it really gets going in earnest January, February. So if the Parks Commission has like capital projects that you would like to see or recommend, I should say, we can work on getting some cost estimates. We can put those in the capital improvement plan. We can see when funds could be available. If they're larger projects, then we can, we can budget capital improvement money and then try to seek out grants if we need to do like the North River Walk. So yeah, that input would be useful in the next 2-3 months.
Well, I really, really think the city needs to buy that parcel next to man-made and get it over. Just put on, there's grants to buy land. Just give the guy the money and have it done. I don't know what the big deal is.
He's asked for 7 times the value.
Yes, but I'm sure there's a negotiated thing that can happen. Maybe you need to get an arbitrator in or something. But it just seems, it seems like a dirty shame and it looks stupid. And it's not a good reflection of the city to have this little bitty thing sitting there like sore thumb and not be able to use the whole thing. I mean, let's face it, the guy's got a point. He has, the piece. Just, there's money used in a lot of ways. But the guy has a parcel, the city could really use it. It'd be so nice to fix that area up. That's the only thing stopping us. So,
is there a plan for what the city would do with it?
well, not yet, because,
There is.
Oh, there.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the beach master plan for man-made lake.
Yeah.
And so, if the community agrees with you, then I think that's the time where it would be the great opportunity to make that part of the master plan. And then you've got, if it becomes part of the master plan, then you've got city council that can work with staff to get to that point.
And of course, there's Ninth Street Boat Launch. Those are two big things that I think need to be looked at for next year, or the 24-25.
agree
And that's
with
a
both
big
of those.
thing. And the boat launch there, clean that up. I mean, so,
And then, I mentioned, someone had asked me about the winter projects for the parks. That's kind of the same thing. We're talking about improvements for the parks. The winter projects, what happens in the winter? I mean, what are your priorities for the winter in the parks?
In the parks?
Yeah, or for the parks, or the parks employees,
Well, the parks employees' number one duty is snow removal.
okay?
The Parks Department usually is responsible for downtown parking lots. That's usually that group, and then the bridge tenders are usually our second shift when we do that. And then in between snow events, they do things like last year, they repaired the picnic tables. The year before that, we stained benches. So some of those benches now are, even after 2 years, like the ones at Fifth Avenue, they need to be brought in and done again. So, there's a lot of that stuff.
And they did the bathroom last year, and that was nice.
Yeah, and I'm gonna plan on, because now that we've got the third employee, it gives us more opportunities, so I'd like to do, just methodically start going through all the bathrooms. There's a lot of painting, a lot of just
Maintenance.
upgrading that needs to be done.
Now, you shared today, and I don't know if everybody knows, Mickey was, his replacement is Brandon, is that, no?
Mickey was the lead man. There was 2 parks employees.
Okay.
Mickey was a lead man in the parks. When Mickey left, we filled that position, and then shortly after that, we were able to get the third position in the current budget, so then I posted that. So there's 2 new people that currently work for the city that are moving to the parks. But
So how many employees does the actual parks?
3,
3. So 3,
Is one of them you?
no.
Oh,
so there's 3 employees, so it's the 2 people that are moving in from the DPW, or just from?
From other
From other
departments.
departments?
Yes.
Okay,
So a bridge tender is moving into the parks, and then a gentleman that works at the treatment plant is moving into the parks.
okay.
So I wasn't prepared to, and Larry, who's our consistent guy, he's getting ready to retire. So I wasn't comfortable putting any of the 2 new people in the parks, or Larry, who's going to retire, as the lead person. So right now, Brandon, who is my street department lead person, is kind of giving out the orders on a daily basis, organizing the staff, and handling that function.
So Brandon would be considered one of the 3? Maybe I
No.
got this wrong. So there's 3 people, and then Brandon will be overseeing these 3?
Generally, yes.
Okay, so one of the 3 is Larry still?
Yes.
Okay, got it. And the other? Everybody else got it?
I'm telling you this, I started this.
guys don't know about parks. One's coming from the treatment plant, so there's some training there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
so there's the bridge tender, the treatment plant, and Larry?
Yes.
Who's retiring.
yeah.
Soon,
Like this year or this month? We don't know.
don't know.
Okay.
So
Not
this
this
is,
month.
this is, huh?
Not this month.
Yeah, he's on vacation for the next month. Larry works 7 days a week from Memorial Day through Labor Day. So he takes a month off to go hunting. And he's off right now. So I don't want to get too deep into this, but the way that, because we're a union shop, the way that it works is if we've got an opening in any department, other union employees have the ability to sign to that and move, maybe to do something new, something more exciting, whatever. So we started the process in May and concluded it probably 5 weeks ago, because people moved from a different department. Then I've got to post that, and I have to keep posting until people stop moving and signing the postings. And then when I have an empty posting, finally, then I can interview, and we've already hired 3 new people. So, and we've got 3 really good employees that we were able to find. So we're really excited about that. But once I got those 3 guys in and our staffing was complete, we were able to get a whole lot of stuff done in the community that we've been kind of picking at and waiting and waiting and waiting. So I think having the 3rd person is going to make a big difference for us.
And we're not trying to oversee them. I think we just want to know who they are. We work with them quite closely and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you have.
They're the hands and feet of the parks, so.
Right.
Yeah, so I think we're on the same team, so we should know who they are. So just keep us posted, that's perfect. The meeting dates, didn't get a lot, I think Katie, you had asked about meeting at a different time, everybody was, it's all right with you, they were pretty, the 5:30 seems to work, and I know it doesn't work as well for you, but is that all right if we
No,
keep
it
it at
works.
5:30?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
And then we'll keep it the 3rd, there's no reason to change it, so the 3rd Thursday at 5:30 will continue. I'll hand out a calendar at the next one, we better vote on this. Oh, you got it, okay. Let's just vote on this, and then no meeting in December.
Okay.
Have the month off. Everybody in favor of the calendar, the schedule for next year, and the time of 5:30?
Make a motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed, calendar is as written. Thank you, Katie, for providing that. Memorials, and this came, we talked a little bit about this before, it came to light when I was walking over there on the North Shore. Those benches, it's just 2 benches there, and people use those, they sit there, after they look at the memorial there and the names, they kind of like to sit there. They're broken and they look like they need to be replaced. The slats, they're just slatted low benches without backs. They look perfect, except for the condition. And they each had a memorial plaque on them. And I don't know how that memorial works. It doesn't seem to me that it should be for perpetuity. You buy a memorial, the plaque could maybe go somewhere in City Hall, but unless, I think they have first dibs on maybe replacing it, and I don't know what the policy is, so, but, like, are we supposed to rebuild that bridge and put that memorial back on it forever, or can you go back to the family?
I would think so. That's what we did on the Riverwalk, where we bought the new steel benches, where we had the erosion and had to rebuild it. Those benches were removed and damaged, and we purchased new ones and put plaques back on to replace those. And then there's still a couple more to go on them, but.
Okay, so it's forever. then.
Yeah, and at Memorial Park, I think, I haven't changed anything there. I'm really praying we get the grant money and then we can do a full design, and there may be some opportunities to put more seating in there, and add some memorial benches too when we do that project.
And I always had the philosophy, if you're, like, Tim, you're redoing your kitchen, that doesn't mean you don't do the dishes for the 2 years before and you let everything go. You still keep your house up as much as you can. And I think those benches, if we could just, I don't know if you can just put a couple boards in, I mean, they're just low benches, but they're broken.
Are these way up at the top?
Yes, they're just those 2 at the top, and they just are, like, just a couple boards are,
Yeah, I'll check with the veterans group.
I don't know.
I think those are installed by the veterans, so let me check with them.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah,
Most of
maybe
that
they
stuff on
would.
top was.
Yeah, maybe they would replace those, just, they're nice benches, they were wooden, they're probably teak, but they need to be, it just looks, it doesn't honor what it's for, so.
Good point.
Okay, so then, the memorials, we'll leave it as it is, but we've got the chairs, the benches, we talked about anything else, like, we had talked about, and it's so nice at the beach, that Trex River Walk, buying a section.
We
of
talked about the
Trex.
fish that Sarah had emailed us. Do you remember that? They were little fish, I don't know, can you describe it?
Yeah, I just saw it one time on vacation. It's in a boardwalk, and they were sort of, how would you describe that, Jeff? Like, they're part of the boards, like a dremeled out fish shape with those were memorial
So we had talked about some way of
I
kind
don't
of,
think I saw that.
we had previously, quite a while ago, talked about, it'd be nice if we could continue with the renovation of the Riverwalk all the way down to Cherry Street. And we had some loose discussions on, you know, maybe if we got a memorial, we could say, well, that'll renovate 10 feet or 5 feet, and then maybe putting some sort of a plaque or something. But Sarah had forwarded, let me see if I can find it, had forwarded something where people had done that same,
Can we put it up on?
I don't think you can.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just sort of a way to make it like a walking memorial or a living memorial, so that
So, kind of like people do
Oh, yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
colorful.
something like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Are those like Trex boards or are they wooden?
I think so.
the next one, they were that, like PVC.
Yeah.
I wonder how they did that.
Tracks, is that what they are,
Is
tracks?
that what
Did
I
they
think
just
so.
stand, how did they do that? That's interesting, because it's like on tracks.
But if, when we get done with the EDA grant, that's gonna do from the American Legion down to Spruce Street, we still have from
I
Spruce Street
know.
down to the East End, or West End. So maybe a program like that could be
I think that would
created.
be nice, because it needs to be,
It's artistic.
it
and
needs to be
that's-
updated, and that's a great idea. Thank you for
Mhm, I like it.
bringing that to our attention. Yeah, that Trex looks good.
Well, I mean, we had talked many times about, okay, we don't have places for more benches, but people want to memorialize family and friends, and so what else could we do? And Kelly came up with the Adirondack chairs. That's a very good outlet. I think it's a great asset, and that program is going well, but at some point, we're going to have too many Adirondack chairs.
Exactly.
So I think we need to be thinking ahead of what's the next thing, right?
I like the Riverwalk concept, because that is so used. So,
But it wouldn't have to be even be fish. You could put leaves, you could put stars.
Correct, yeah. That's just a concept that
Yeah.
could be used.
the fish is cute for Manistee, though.
When you do the bricks, that doesn't feel fun to me, you know, and it's actually expensive to get the brick, but something different like that, something that adds some color and vibrancy, you know.
How many fish would you need in a section to fund a section of Riverwalk?
Well, we did the pilot project down at the West End. Now we're doing the EDA stuff. So I can answer that by spring when we actually have a contractor and bids on it. You know, then we can say, look, to upgrade this stuff, it's gonna cost us $100 a foot, or $50 a foot, or $500 a foot. So I don't really know yet. But I think when we work with when I'm working with the engineers on the current project, we can kind of forecast that out in specifically for the Riverwalk, but it could be for other things. You know, it could be for other amenities in the parks.
Where was that, Sarah, that you saw that?
It was in North Carolina at a aquarium.
That was neat.
But yeah, I would encourage you I mean, just that in that you could truly create a park support program through something like that, where you know, it's good to think about it in terms of, okay, it would cost $100 for the fish. But if you say, you know, $500, and then you have created, you know, a living maintenance fund or a ability to
We had even talked to, and they didn't commit or anything, but they were willing to listen. We talked to the foundation of, if we could create a program like this, could we get a Minger grant to match in some way so that we could, you know, because maybe it's $1,000 a foot, and that's just crazy, but you know, is there a way that we could kind of subsidize that with some grant money so that we can get some real value out of it? And it doesn't have to be the Riverwalk, but it could be any other community assets like that.
And the advantage of that, and that's what I was trying to go when I said we have to keep replacing these benches and stuff, because pretty soon you're replacing benches and you're making sure you have all this, and it's like, well, we might not even want a bench there. But yet we gotta find a plaque and put it, and then these people say, well, but it's always sat there, so I want Grandpa's bench in that same spot. So that gets a little tricky, and this one kind of removes that, and you get a bigger asset you know, you end up getting something that's a little bit more tangible than a bench or an Adirondack chair even. You know, not that those aren't nice, but I think we could grow it. I think we could do more. So thank you, I think that's.
Creative.
Yeah, it's creative, it's good, we can get bigger things,
Mhm.
so. Okay, old business, didn't get the basketball one done at First Street Beach, we'll still try to do that one. Fifth Avenue,
Yeah, who did the pickleball lines? You did?
My guys did it.
Yeah, nice. Are they doing the tennis lines along with it later, or?
We held back on that to try to highlight the pickleball, but it's whatever you think is best.
It just, honestly, it just looks odd, just having the pickleball lines and not having the full tennis court lines in there. I went over there and I checked it out. So it's nice though. I had a friend who I thought was gonna be able to do it, but he was gonna charge me $3,500, so it's not a friend.
ex-friend.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm like, well,
He's gonna
that's,
stay for 3 weeks at your
oh,
house.
yeah, he was gonna stay at my cottage, and I'm like, for $3,500? And I'm giving you a place to stay? I'll look at different avenues. But it's nice they did that,
What color do you have?
I think they just painted them white.
yeah.
White.
What,
We just basically traced over what was there, and
Good.
so is the intention to put the tennis lines back on too, eventually, or?
if you wish.
Well, normally, it's just not pickleball lines, it's tennis court lines along with it, so the combination.
If you talk to somebody on either side, the pickleball side or the tennis side, they're not compatible on the same surface. They actually, the nets are wider for tennis, they're higher for tennis, the lines get confusing, so my intention was to leave it as pickleball and maybe even changing out those nets if they get used a lot for that. I mean, I think in the community, we need more pickleball facilities.
Sure.
Definitely, and more tennis, we need both. We need 4 more tennis and we need pickleball.
Yeah, and the challenge is
Yes.
for the cost to build 4 tennis courts is the exact same to build 6 pickleball. I mean, there's the same footprint, 4 and 6, and they're expensive.
But we need them, so, yeah.
Nice you did that, thank you though.
Yeah, it was,
Looks nice.
Well,
and they were,
we had, that's some of the things that I'm saying, like, when I got to full staff, we were able to, like, pick away at some stuff, and so, you know, we didn't get to the basketball, we will, but, we got as many of those things done, and then we shifted to, we're doing sidewalks, we winterized all the bathrooms, put up snow fence at the beaches, brought in the walkways, trying to get that done just a week earlier so that we can start leaf haul a week earlier, because the community complained about that last year. So, you know, it's managing our resources and then hitting the priorities, and so when we have time, we can come back to it, you know.
Nice. Well, thanks for doing that. Looks nice.
the other, I mentioned it, was that tetherball. That was used so much that, if they're not too expensive, that might be nice, even at Morton Park. If there was a little bit left, you know, if there was a little bit of money left to put a tetherball down there, because it's something a kid can do by themselves if they want, they can eat something, and it's just, I think it's just a good, that was used, right? You saw
Yeah.
it, Tim, over there.
Oh, yeah.
Is there one at First Street Beach, Jeff?
Yes,
I thought so, okay.
yeah, there's one at each beach.
Okay, maybe more.
And they do get used a lot.
They do. Even Duffy might like it, you know, you got kids of all ages over there, where the kids, other siblings are playing soccer.
Yeah, and for the cost, I don't, do you remember what they were? $300, something?
Oh, the tetherballs?
Yeah.
They weren't that much.
They're not that expensive.
Yeah,
So we could do stuff like
let's do a
that.
couple of those, get those, I think the more we have to do. Okay. That's about, no meeting in December, but there will be one next month. Anything else? Tim?
I have one item, and I forgot to mention it when you asked me what was budgeted, but one of the projects that I just approved the preliminary, or the layout for, was we are adding a wall at Fifth Avenue Beach along the parking lot, between the parking lot and the beach. It'll be low, like First Street.
Lower than First Street, that one's a little, in like an Escort, you can't see over that one. I've seen like older people sitting there with their ice cream and the little ladies behind, and I
Yeah.
thought, you're not seeing anything.
That's exactly what I relayed to the engineers. We're planning on, it's called a crush and shape, but we're gonna crush all the asphalt and blend it in with the existing gravel, so it doesn't get removed, it gets added and makes the parking lot stronger, and then we're gonna repave it. And I explored perpendicular parking and versus angled parking, and we can get more spaces out of the perpendicular parking. So, and it just takes a little expansion on the east side where it's just eroded off over the years from equipment and cars parking off the pavement into the beach. So we're planning on bidding that out this winter and having that constructed in the spring.
So when you say perpendicular, people won't be facing the lake?
Yeah,
They won't be.
they will be.
Oh, they still will be.
Perpendicular to the wall, correct? Is that what?
Oh, okay.
Right angles versus.
The parking lot, the parking lot until 2-3 years ago had angled parking.
Yeah.
And so it was one-way traffic and it was angled. And then I did some wedging on the west side of it and squared it up. And then we restriped it to make it perpendicular.
Okay.
So
To the
you
lake.
park perpendicular to the travel lane,
Okay.
okay? It's like going to Meyer's perpendicular parking.
Be one way though?
Yeah, we're gonna stripe it one way. I think the aisles will be wide enough for two-way, but I just think traffic flows better when it's one way.
It's good to have a two-way, because then you can pass if someone's waiting or whatever, but I think one way is a good idea.
Yeah.
But enough for 2 cars is okay, in case there's a passing situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good.
Is the wall gonna be the same color as the beach house, the shelter house?
I haven't got to that point yet. I don't like to pick out colors, so I have a commission that loves colors, and when I need their help, I reach out.
It should
Should
match the
coordinate.
color of the cement or whatever is it called a beach house? What do you
Yeah.
call that?
The shelter.
Whatever that color
It's
is,
a beach
it should
house.
be what the wall is, I would think.
Okay,
Right. Yeah.
It's not cement color, right? Not,
that makes sense, yeah.
Yep. It's good.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it should match. It should look, people see the
look
wall.
at-
it would look nice.
Mm-hmm.
The beach house is in the back. That bathroom door is down there by the city marina, but the one that's the public one. It's still hard for women to open. Like the one gal was walking away when I was walking by, and she goes, "It's locked." I said, "I don't think it is. Let me try it." And I opened it for her, and she goes, "Oh, I can't open that."
How long ago was that?
About a week and a half ago.
I thought he got the hardware in.
Did he? I'll go try it again.
He got the hardware in, but I don't know if that's all.
Oh, if he got to it, oh.
Okay, so, yeah, because that's an issue, because they think it's locked, because it was locked when we were painting it, so I thought maybe she stopped and it was locked before, so now she's thinking we locked it again or whatever, so that was good. That would be a good thing to fix. And those are left open all year, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only 2 bathrooms that are open are the one next to Trophies and the marina.
Okay, thanks. Kieran, anything to add?
No, I put my 2 cents in about the wall, so.
Lainey? Guess that's it.
Good? Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
Woo-hoo, thank you.
Was that our fastest meeting ever?
It was.
If the city actually,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they shouldn't do it as a parent, need to send out